Okay, so this is the final game of the Eastern Class 2025 tournament under 2100 section. Um, this is against Wyatt Wong, who is an expert player, rated 2000. So I'm playing up in this game, but not by very much. It's sort of just a game. Um, Wyatt plays e4, and we get another advanced Caro-Kann. Okay, so I was playing c5 in this tournament. He takes it. I play e6 and immediately bishop e3, and I'm not in book. So this is, I think you'll see the pattern, which is that my openings need some work. I don't really know what I'm doing in the opening. I have a good sort of positional understanding of what to do, which is very helpful. But sometimes, as in round 3, it can just sort of become a disaster. Um, Knight d7 seemed like the most natural move. Just attack the pawn. Knight f3, and now I can choose how I want to take the pawn. I took with a bishop, which the computer prefers, but it does weaken my dark squares. So there was a trade-off that I was trying to weigh. Bishop takes, knight takes, knight c3. Okay, I get this position. I play a6, which is a good move, just stopping any checks on b5 or the knight from jumping into b5 and then d6. Felt like just slow down, play a6 seemed like a good idea. And then a3. A3 I didn't really understand at all. It didn't feel right. This machine thinks that a3 is best. I don't know. I mean, it's not very ambitious, I don't think. I don't really know what the a3 square uh or what the b4 square is doing for me. I don't really think you want to play b4 with white because then your c pawn is going to be a little bit backward. Maybe eventually you'll play c4, but okay, is b4 really the top priority for white? I don't think so. So okay, 97, and now bishop d3. Now I'm faced with my first major decision to make because um, if I take the bishop, then I end up with the bishop. All right, I have the light square bishop, but my dark squares are weak because the dark square bishop have been traded, and this pawn on e5 is very annoying. And by trading my knight for the light square bishop, I have even less control over the dark squares. And the light square bishop, yes, it can be used in some kingside attacks sometimes, but otherwise it's not the most useful piece. Um, on the board for white, these knights can be much trickier, and yeah, so I took it, which is not a bad move, but it strategically might be a little dubious to take at this point, which seems maybe a little counterintuitive, but okay. Queen takes, knight c6. Trying to put pressure on e5. Maybe queen c7 can come. Castles, castles. Rook a e1. Okay. Here I realize that my position is not so good because there's all this pressure. Um, White is going to start doing something on the king side very fast, whether or not he needs to transfer the knight from c3 through e2, and then either, like maybe the knight can transfer over here, or maybe it can transfer um, over here. Oops. But either way, white is going to be building over here, h5, h4, maybe h4 to support knight g5, and there's mates. I might have to play g6, and then, then you can imagine the dark squares are even weaker. I only have this one knight over here, which might need to. It just came from e7, but might need to go back to just prevent mates. It's not good. So I was sort of feeling a bit desperate already in this position, and I played the move f6, which I knew was like an idea to break open the structure, and then we end up with white has two pawn islands, uh, three on each side, and then I would be left with three, or not this one, three pawn islands like this. And sometimes the center pawns are a little bit weak when it's like this, but sometimes they can control the center squares, and white will have no pawns in the center to um, uh, counter them. So I played f6. Uh, Knight a4 is a good move, and now I trade stuff on the e5 square. I take twice, allowing the rook to capture, and then I play the move queen c7. And queen c7, the computer puts a question mark on it, but I think it's a good move. Um, the purpose of this move is I want to be able to play bishop d7, hitting the knight. But I don't want, and I also want to hit this rook without allowing queen d4. If I play the move queen d6, then there's move queen d4. And now if I play bishop d7, there's the c5 square for the knight, or the b6 square even for the knight. So this is not something I want to allow. Queen c7 hits the c2 pawn. In this position, I was actually still afraid of queen d4, allowing me to take on c2, and this turns out to be what white should do. Just because, okay, maybe knight b6, maybe even knight c5, but let's say knight b6. You know, I have to play like rook b8, and this position is very scary. Yes, I have just clipped a pawn on c2, but all of my pawns are blockaded. My bishop is a terrible piece that cannot move. If my bishop can't move, then my rook can't move. So I need to start doing something like maybe rook f7, but this position is very bad. White has more than enough compensation for the pawn sacrifice on c2. There's basically no weaknesses in the white position other than maybe b2, but the queen is central on d4. The queen is not going to move away from d4, and therefore the b2 pawn is not very weak because I can't attack it with another piece. So this position is very bad. I was very concerned about that move in the game, and I was very happy when my opponent instead played the move queen c3, allowing this endgame. Now the endgame is still unpleasant, but at least I have a fighting chance in this endgame. The knight is much better than the bishop in this position. The e6 pawn is very weak, but you cannot win a chess game with only one weakness. You need two weaknesses. So as long as I keep the e6 pawn protected and don't allow it for another weakness, I should survive. King e7, g3, king d6. I put the king on d6 in a very nice square. The knight doesn't have any checking squares because my pawns protect the checking squares, so the king on d6 is very safe. If white starts to try to play c4, then I'll be able to capture it and play bishop c6, and I should be fine in that position as well. Rook d1, rook c8, just in case c4 was sort of an idea with allowing discoveries on the knight. I put the rook on c8, make it so it's not possible. Pawn on c3, h6, rook back to e1. Trying to put pressure on this pawn. I just play rook f8, g5, g6. So this position, white is clearly better, right? White has pressure on the e6 weakness. My rooks are sort of tied down. My bishop is a bad piece. But it's very difficult for white to find a breakthrough. And even if white does find a breakthrough, it's even more difficult to find a breakthrough that doesn't involve taking risks, where you could maybe even lose. Probably that doesn't happen, but if you try to press this too hard with white, it's not difficult to imagine that you play a move that's maybe gambling a bit too much, and then suddenly black is not only back in the game, but has chances to win. So that was my hope. King g2, rook f7, king f3, rook e7, king g4, rook g7, rook e2, rook g8. Now my plan is just to sit on the g file with the rook g7, rook g8. And actually in this position, uh, I offer a draw. I'm just going to sit with my rook. And the purpose of the draw offer is, one, if it's accepted, then I'm very happy because my position is worse. I don't have any chance of playing for a win on my own. And if I can convince my opponent by offering the draw to play for a win, then I have some chances to win the game. What ends up happening, though, is I offer the draw. He declines the draw with knight f3. I just play rook g8, and then he thinks for a while. It's move 32. Both of us had a reasonable amount of time, but not a lot of time, and I think he sort of realized that if he wanted to play this position for a win, he would need to take some risks, and that was not something that he was interested in doing in the last round of a tournament. So he just offered a draw, which I immediately accepted because my position is, if any, I'm definitely in danger if white's playing very well. of losing. Um, but okay, so this game ended as a draw. There's not much I would say to say about this game. Probably the most interesting part of it was in the opening when I take on d3. Maybe I shouldn't take on d3. We can take a look at the book. Oh, no games in this position. Okay, move. Yeah, because a3 um is not a very ambitious move. Main moves here: bishop e2, bishop d3, queen d4. Each move has been played once. Um, yeah, knight c3 already getting is already a pretty big sideline. So okay. Um, so that was this game. Taking on d3, probably not the most wise strategic idea. Playing f6, also maybe a bit dubious, but hard for black to play this position already because of the weaknesses on the dark squares. Um, so I would say that those are the main moments in this game. And then the final moment just being that this position is very difficult for white to play for a win. And yeah, so that was the tournament. It was 5 round tournament. I scored +1, 2 wins, 2 draws, 1 loss. Um, I would say the main takeaways are that the openings need some work. Um, the next tournament that I played was World Open, which ended last week. It was a very long tournament. I won't spoil how it went or the games, but I will be preparing those videos to upload as well soon. Um, and yeah, I hope that you enjoyed this type of video, and I'll be making them going forward at all the other tournaments. The tournament, now that it's after World Open, my next tournament will be Bradley Open, which will take place in a week or two. July 24th, I think, is the first day. And that's another 5 round tournament, which I will try to get those videos out after that. And then hopefully moving forward, we'll just post these videos as we go. Um, this is the road to becoming a national master. And yeah, hope you enjoyed, and see you in the next video.